And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Today we have a special guest for the show. This is the first time doing it in the studio. It's really exciting to have Desiree Steinbroner here. Desiree is the owner of a local business here in Idaho called Old Boise Spirits. It's great having you here in studio. This is really cool because we get to sit here right in the studio and talk to each other. A lot of this stuff isn't going on right now because of COVID, but I think we're kind of getting on the other end of that, and I'm glad that you're here.
Thank God, right?
Yeah.
It's been a year. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So before we get started here, we're going to talk about Old Boise, kind of being a female entrepreneur and what's going on in Idaho. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Desiree Steinbroner. I'm originally from Colorado. Go Denver Broncos. Woo. Throw that one in there.
I'm not much of a football fan, so we're okay.
Okay, that's okay. Moved to Boise in 2005. I have 3 beautiful children. One is 22, 13, and 12, and they consume most of my time. I'm married to an awesome man, and we love living it here in Idaho.
Yeah, and it's interesting. One of the things that I don't really think about when I have guests on the show, because I don't often have females, which I need to have more.
I know. I'm bringing a little bit of the
that's what we need.
Yeah.
But raising a family is a job. I have one daughter. I can't imagine having 3 because one's crazy.
Yeah.
But doing that and then running a business at the same time, is that been kind of a difficult thing to keep that going at the same time?
It's crazy because I actually help run a local women's networking group, and we have currently about 130 members, and we're a group of high functioning women, and a lot of us are moms, and a lot of us own our own businesses. And what really appealed me to this group, what was appealing about it, was that as a woman, we wear a lot of hats. It's like we're the driver, we're the chef, and we're the parent. And not only are you doing those like physical daily things, but you're also dealing with the emotional side of parenting.
Right.
It's not easy, and it's not easy for fathers or mothers on both sides. And it is. And I want to get into it a little bit more because I feel like you have a lot of inspirational things in sports and coaching. And I'm so much of a sports fan. I get it. But I think the common denominator is fear and not feeling like you belong when you're running a business. And it's been tough to, have to be around the bar industry when I feel like I have nothing in common with the people at the bar, because I took my kid to school today and I spilt their cereal all over me, and, you're juggling all of these things. So yeah, it's really tough, and time management and all of those things, it plays a big role in owning your own business and being successful.
And I think that it's kind of interesting because you talked about like the bar scene and how like the stigma behind that. We're pretty close to the same age, and that used to be where people hung out there, people partied there, people found their relationships there. That's the place that you went. But now it's a little different, but I can completely understand how that would be awkward to be in there. It's got to be tough to be in there, be around someone who's probably had a few to drink. And I'm assuming that you're probably getting hit on a lot. You're probably getting some unwanted attention. And that does definitely got to be tough when you have 3 kids sitting at home and a husband.
And truly at the time, and even still now, you have to have your priorities in line, and what is enough in your life, and what makes it enough. And there's a lot of times when I would sit there and I'm at a bar and I'm talking to a bar manager about my product, and I feel like a fake because it's like, I don't want to be here. Right. I'm missing my son's basketball game for this, or I'm missing, whatever for this. And so it's hard to get past that. And I just didn't feel like I belonged. It was strange. It's a lot of things that you kind of have to get over. And I have nothing in common. You know, I didn't have anything in common with the 25-year-old bar manager that's what they do. I just didn't.
Yeah. And typically those people that are working in the bar aren't the type of people that, they're the bar, like you said, the 25-year-old bar manager who this is what he's doing while he's going to college to go, pay for his school. Yeah. He's working at the same time. And here you are, a little bit older than him, walking in there, having a different idea of what this looks like. I think that most people think that when you have a business like this, where you're selling spirits or you're selling alcohol or things like that, you just show up at the liquor store and you know, especially in Idaho, because that's what they have. They have liquor stores, right?
Yeah.
And you just drop the bottle off and here you go. It gets distributed that way, but you have to do more things in order to get your product out there. So you're having to go into these establishments and trying to get them to serve your product.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, so it's actually kind of funny because here in the state of Idaho, the laws are very strict when it comes to liquor. And so we have to follow a lot of state laws. So actually how it works is we produce and then the state purchases it and it goes to the warehouse and then it goes to liquor stores through the state, and then all bars and restaurants have to order through the state, through the liquor store. So it's difficult because I can't go anywhere. If I do a sale, I can't give them my liquor and there it's over and bam, and they have to order it. So it was a big learning curve and following the state regulations. And I understand why they're there. I mean, clearly alcohol is something that should be regulated strictly. So yeah, it's a little bit of like a game. And you know, what's nuts is with Idaho growing like crazy, I don't think our industry was prepared for that. And it's,
right.
You know, so it's a lot of adjusting and moving and learning new things and kind of pivoting. And yeah, but you're having to sell to a lot of different, you have to, you know, work with the state and then you have to work with bars and it's kind of a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, you kind of touched on it, but you have to actually get, like, bars have a choice of what they have in there. So like they either can have Old Boise gin in there, or they can have Hendrix in there, or they can have something else in there, and they have to decide that they're willing to get your product. So you have to go in there and convince them. You're still selling it, even though you're not selling it, right?
Yeah. It's a sale. Yeah.
So how long has Old Boise Spirits been around? I know that Koenig's been around a little bit. Have they been around the same time?
No, Koenig has been around for far longer. We actually had a good relationship with Andy Koenig. And a lot of times the distillers will produce a product and then they'll sell it to another distiller for them to make their own product out of that. Usually it's like, it's pretty common. It's a common thing that's done. And so he had a whole bunch of gin, and my husband was like, what are you doing with the gin? Because my husband at the time was distributing Koenig products. And he's like, we're going to sell it. You should buy it. And he was really apprehensive. And when he got home and told me about it, I'm like, yes, I want to do this. Like, yes. You know, my husband's like, why do you want to do this? And my thing was like, I had done hair, you know, forever. And as much as I loved doing hair, it's a very physically hard job. And I knew that my body was breaking down. I had done it for about 16 years at that time. And I just knew that like I wanted something else it was an out for me. And so this is kind of a funny story, but he's like, okay, so, and my thought process was, you know, I had money that I had from moving from Colorado. And I thought, you know, we'll just invest it. Like, there's no way you can't get your money back, right? Like, you produce, and then if it may take 10 years to sell. It may take 2 years to sell whatever you produce. And so we produced the gin, and it was a fun process because we got to kind of like make it our own and taste the ingredients that we put into it. And the one thing I love about Andy and Koenig Distilleries is that quality is his utmost thing when it comes. He's insanely smart, and everything he does is just, we have literally really high quality products for a price that I think is far too low, truthfully. But so we bottled it, branded it, got into the States, and that's where I kind of fell apart. I was like, we did it, and then I didn't do anything. And it like literally just kind of sat there. And my husband was like, you know what? I'm going to work this business for you. And he was working it while I was still doing hair and raising babies, you know, and kids and doing all the things. And it was like so bad to where I would go to a restaurant that had my product and I wouldn't even order it. Like, I ignored it that terribly, you know, but it sold. It's a good product. And it was just kind of going along. And then my son had turned 19, and you can rep for liquor when you're 19. And he's like, Mom, I want to do this. And we were like, go for it. Have fun. And so he started working it. And my husband finally came to me 2 years ago, and he's like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you either have to work your business or you have to sell it. And so I had to get over all of the things that happen in your head when you own a business and really just kind of march forward.
Well, and it's tough too, because you become the face of the business. We were just talking about this before. You can throw a logo up there and say, hey, this is my business. So you have this logo for Old Boise Gin and Old Boise Vodka. And there's the logo, but people want to know the story behind the person. And that's what I like about what I do, is I get to help people know who you are.
Yes.
In addition to you knowing, who you are as well. We kind of started on social media around the same time.
Yeah.
And I just went straight to these entrepreneurial people. And that's what was exciting, was that we were kind of in the same space. And I saw that. So I always knew I wanted to have you on. And it's awesome that we get to be the first studio guest. It's really cool.
Notable.
And let's talk a little bit about where it's bottled, because Andy Koenig is local. We're here in Idaho right now. We're filming in New Plymouth, but is the vodka made in the same place? Where's it made at?
Absolutely. So we are produced at Koenig Distilleries. We're very lucky in the sense that Andy is helping us along this journey and facilitating us and teaching, doing all of the things that he does best. I get to just kind of own my own brand. So I actually own the Old Boise Spirits, which has the vodka and the gin. I don't have a bottle of vodka here. This is like me being unprepared, to be quite honest.
It's got a yellow label, right?
It's got the yellow label, but it has the bike on it and everything else. But yeah, it's all produced up at Koenig Distilleries. And we actually have some really fun things coming up. We're building a tasting room out there.
Oh, nice.
And I will be hosting tasting events. And I plan to do things like get on a bus, like almost like a wine tour, and I'm working with a local chef here named Jen. She does like a farm to table stuff. So hopefully we can work together and produce events where we have like dinners and tastings. And if you guys haven't been out to Marsing or Koenig Distilleries or where even that area, it is phenomenal. He's got acres. Koenig loves brandies. That's kind of his favorite. Yeah. Andy likes brandies. Mm-hmm. And so he has lots of grows. Like he grows his own peaches and pears. And what I love about him is that we're very local in the sense that we try to get all of the products that go into our spirits as local as we can. We stay kind of in the Pacific Northwest, but try to stay as local as we possibly can. But the thing about Andy, again, being so quality conscious, is he's going to get the best of what it is. So we try to stay as local as possible, but he has done a good job producing phenomenal products. So
yeah, and again, I've probably I don't think I've had the flavored vodkas, but I have had the gin and the vodka, Old Boise. Mm-hmm. I've drinking the bourbon. I really like it. I think that Andy is an awesome guy, and just that you're partnering with him really means that it's going to be something that's quality. So that's really exciting to see that. And it's awesome that it's made locally. Yeah. And he does actually, I've toured the facility. So I've been in there. Yeah. I've been in there, like up the ladder, looking down, smelling the brandy that he's making. Awesome? It's pretty crazy. Having him do the brandy is truly watching a labor of love, because I don't know it takes a massive amount of fruit to create one jug of brandy. And it's kind of unfortunate that brandy hasn't like really taken off here in the United States. But just to see him do that labor of love is pretty awesome. The peach, actually, he has peach groves all over his property, and he actually uses the highest quality of ingredients in there. There's no syrups, so it's fantastic. It's a great company, I believe, and I know that if you're latching onto that, you really believe in quality, because they do a great job.
And he really wants to do things for our community, and he gave a whole bunch of. He helped out in the beginning of COVID by donating. Yeah. Sanitizers to the local hospital.
He made it, right?
He did, yeah.
Did he make that? No, he was making that out of. Was it the byproduct or out of?
It's the raw product. So it's basically, it's the alcohol. You know? Yeah.
Like the uncut alcohol.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
And he, brings the local football teams out to pick fruit, and he's a big part of our community. And I feel like, he doesn't, love the, being the face of things. And I really want people to know, how fantastic of a pillar. He's a pillar in the community, truthfully. Yeah.
I've met him personally, I've tasted some of the bourbon out of the barrel. I've had, I've been there because my dad knows him pretty well. Yeah. And it's funny because I'm surprised that he doesn't like being the face, because he is so knowledgeable, very talkative, wants to show you what's going on. We got to tour where the barrels were. We got to, he showed me some of the brandy that he had going on. took me to the bottling facility. It was really cool to actually see the whole process of how that goes on.
Yeah. It's kind of a great partnership because I don't mind, like I'm getting over the fears and all the things that come with owning a business. And I don't mind being the face of things and being out there and, getting loud, doing events and stuff like that. He wants to talk about what he loves to do. And we can let him shine by doing that.
Right. Yeah. And so you talked about like you like doing that and you like being the face, but there's also some things that go with that. And we talked a little bit about that. Yeah. What's kind of the hard part about being a female in the industry that you're in and how do you work through that? Okay. So I'm going to be completely raw here and that's who I am. I tell it like it is. It's funny because when I first came out, you're excited, you own a business and you're like, I'm going to just tell everyone in the world. And it's funny because I look really young. I get a lot of like, first that I'm young, but also I get the like, oh, you're cute, good job, nice try kind of attitude. Right. Or I get like inappropriately like hit on by men. And I'm in a male dominant business. And it's so funny to like get the reaction of people when I first tell them who I am, and so it's like, it's hard. It's not easy. It's crazy. I feel like the world is changing and women are becoming, there's more women-owned businesses around. I think it's fantastic and awesome, but sometimes. And the thing is, I'm not just this like quiet, submissive girl. So I usually shoot back, which is not the appropriate thing to do. So yeah, and a lot of times, unfortunately, that people will look at that as like, oh, well, maybe they're flirting with me, or maybe they're coming back, and it's just we live in this. It's a weird society. It is a weird society. Absolutely, it's very strange, and I'm learning how to handle it better and not let things get to me, and brush things off and move on. Yep. Yeah, be the bigger person. Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, obviously, as a male, it's a little bit different than having to deal with it. And we talked about some of the differences where, people are actually coming after you, and that's not appropriate. I just don't know where that's become something that's okay. I know. Yeah. It's funny to me sometimes when I get inappropriate things said to me, or men will hit on me, and it's kind of funny that I'm like, when did in your world did this become acceptable for you to do this? It's very, very strange. And you cross a lot of lines, and it's weird. I really, I want to employ women, and I want to like have women around me, but I really liked having my son with me at events because it's weird when you have a man with you. Yeah. You get respected more. Right. And they didn't know that he was my son. But it's just funny because when you're with, it's a weird, the reactions of people are different. So. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things. It's just like, hopefully you get through it. But like our society has been so desensitized over the years. I mean, to the point where we wanted to go one direction where there's kind of equality, but we went way past that. Absolutely. And that's kind of the tough part. Yeah. No, it's true. It's like, it's tough because also like not even like sex differences or any of those things, but with COVID, it's like, I really would like to get back to a place where we can just like respect each other and like live and let live. I'm in this group, like I said, and a lot of it we preach about like abundance and let's talk about that group a little bit because that sounds like a really interesting thing. It's phenomenal, and it actually has completely changed my life. It's called a Polka Dot Powerhouse, and it was started by my good friend Tina Nowick. I always tell the story. This is kind of funny because I hated networking. I don't know. Do you network? Kinda. It's in a different way. Like my networking is with people online. So not like going and sitting down, which is kind of weird. So I started trying to network in the beginning about 4 years ago, and I hated it. I felt like I just hated it. I felt like I was like, I don't know. The whole thing was just awkward, and it made me kind of, I just didn't enjoy it. And my friend Tina was like, I feel like Idaho's lacking in options for especially women to kind of get together and they'd lift each other up really in business. And she told me about this group that she wanted to start. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, that is never going to work. That's never going to work here. And I know, but I did the best friend thing and I jumped on the train and we started this group together. And we've now grown to 130 members here in the Treasure Valley. And we actually,
helped launch a group in Northern Idaho and Coeur d'Alene.
That's big numbers. 130
It's
people.
huge.
That's
and
like,
it's paying members. So they're actually
really?
membership. Yeah. We fill, prior to COVID, we were filling about 35 people a meeting, and we have 4 meetings a month. So that's including guests. So we would have guests come also. But you know what it is? I love it. We actually had it's a global network. So it's all over the world. We just launched a chapter in the UK. There's about 4,000 members all over the United States. What's really cool about it is when you become a member of Polka Dot Powerhouse, if I travel to Hawaii, I can then go to the meeting in Hawaii, and we run by the same agendas. It's the same meeting. Every meeting has a speaker that will lend knowledge to you. They're not selling their product. They're not doing a commercial. They're giving you something to help you on your journey, whether it be motherhood, being a woman, owning a business, all of these things. We're not exclusive, so we don't allow one business one person per business. We have this like abundance mentality. But the thing that sold me, and what's so fantastic about this group in Boise, is that we had Shannon, the woman who started Polka Dot Powerhouse, and she's got a very compelling story about how it all started and stuff. But she kind of said, we're here to be on your pathway, your brick pathway of your life. We're here to give you the next brick. Like, we're here to just kind of help you, support you in whatever you need.
Right.
And through the 3 years, it's been phenomenal. Like we just had a party this morning with one of the girls, and a lot of these girls, like, they've been divorced. They've become single mothers. They've, gone through things in their life, and they've been fired, and they've changed jobs, and some of them have created new businesses. And to watch the journey, I think, is the gift, right?
Right.
Like, that's kind of what you do here.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
you get to see the gift, and you develop these relationships. And I kind of feel like I was explaining it to somebody. They're like, tell me about this polka dot thing. And I'm like, well, you got to go. But truly what I feel like is what's given me the ability to now run my business with more confidence is that I feel like I have an entire army behind me. Like, I have a group of cheerleaders that show up. When I do a tasting, there's 10 of my dot sisters. We call each other dot sisters. That's so cheesy, I know. But there's 10 of my dot sisters there, and they're bringing friends, and they are doing this. Like, I had a tasting, I don't remember what bar it was. It was pre-COVID. So I don't know. Everything's hazy.
Yeah, right.
But they're like, we had one of the biggest Wednesday nights we've ever had. Like, I've never had someone bring 25 people in.
Right.
And you just do a tasting. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. Yay. So it's a great group. And if there's anything I've learned, even, prior to COVID, but COVID just reinforced it, is that we all need to support each other.
Right.
Right? Like, none of us are doing this on our own, and you can't do it on your own. And to have that group of people, even if it's just 4 or 5 that are just kind of helping you along your journey, more power to you.
Yeah. And I think that it's one of those things where people don't understand that. I posted a picture the other day on Instagram that someone had shared about a receipt about like the little simple things that you can do. And you're like, holy smokes, share a post. Tell them that they're doing a good job. Be part, just be interested in it. And they're not, even though you have a product that you don't expect them to buy your product, that's a byproduct of the whole situation.
No.
But just, hey, I see what you're doing. And that's kind of how this is like, I see what you're doing, and it excites me that you are pushing yourself out there and you're trying to make those things happen. And that's why you're here.
Well, it's so funny that you bring that up, because I was telling Wes this morning that my friend was like, what are you doing this afternoon? I'm like, I'm doing a podcast. And she's like, with who? And I'm like, this guy named Wes that I met on Instagram, and we've been kind of following each other and supporting each other through Instagram for about a year. And she's like, okay, so you're driving to New Plymouth to do a podcast with someone you've never met. But it was funny because I rationalized it, and I said, actually, what's crazy is like, we're all trying every way to get our product out there and ourselves out there and do what we're doing, in life. But to have someone who likes your posts and comments, good job, Desiree. You're not like talking out there to a ghost, right?
Yeah.
Like that little bit of interaction, again, it's creating that tribe or that group of people that are helping you along your journey. And it is helpful. We talk about that a lot in Polka Dot. It's like, we have 132 members that are all selling products. Do not go and buy 132 people's products. Like, that is not what we want you to do. What would be really nice, though, is if you showed up at an event and just was a body in the room. And that makes a difference. Or liking a post, or commenting, or sharing a post, or doing just these little things. A lot of my friends are out there. They're like my army. Everywhere they go, they're like, do you have Old Boise Spirits? And the person's like, no. And they're like, why? You should. It's woman owned, and it's like, oh my God, people probably hate you guys. But it's my army out there fighting for me. So yeah.
Well, that's a great, I'm impressed with that. And I need to talk to my wife a little bit about that. She's kind of has a hard time getting into groups like that. And I think that it would be great for her.
I always tell people, they're like, they'll ask about it. I'm like, if you don't want 130 new friends, do not join. Like, your agenda will now turn into 15 things. And what's really cool is we're offering these amazing masterminds. And these masterminds people come in wanting to ask something about their business. But really, when we have an issue with our business, it really comes down to like an issue that is inside that really... And those things, there's someone in the room that has been through it, and there's someone in the room that has helped. And like, we have a couple stay-at-home moms, we have a couple unemployed women who just come because they needed that like positive woman interaction. And that's the thing. Our thing is like no drama. It's like, leave it at the door. We're not here to talk about who you're pissed off at. Or sorry.
No, you're fine.
We're not here to talk about who you're mad at. And I find myself having really smart conversations.
Yeah.
We're talking about really awesome things. And it's every time you leave that group of friends, you feel a little bit more confident and a little bit more loved. And it's just cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's one of those, again, you start to surround yourself with people who have the same ideas that you have, and you just end up surrounded by them. They just fall into place.
And the success is contagious.
Yeah.
Like when you see someone succeeding, you're like, yes, let's go do it together. And there's a ton of like collaborations happening, things that like would have never happened. And even we have a couple gym owners. We have 2 gym owners, and they do events together. And like, I come from a background, every girl has dealt with catty girls. And it's like, I had never seen 2 competing businesses come together to support each other. And they're both flourishing from it.
Well, and I think that's a big thing that we deal with right now is like, I've said before, they're like, there's this pie, right? There's this big pie. Like even like with what I'm doing, like with a podcast, with a live show, there's this huge pie, right? And there's so much of it, but we want to not share it. We don't want to give back to other people because we're afraid that they're going to take some of our pie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, you have to be willing, like I see true growth coming from helping other people grow. Absolutely. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because if someone called and reached out to me and said, hey, I want some help with this, or I want some help with that, I'm willing to help them. And it's not like I'm going to charge them for help. I want to help them grow. Mm-hmm. And I think that society is like, no, don't do that. Don't help other people. Take for yourself.
It's funny because we're all taught that. It's a strange, I don't know where it all came from, but it truly does. Like even in the liquor business, like going through what the liquor industry kind of went through during the time of COVID was a little terrifying. You just didn't know. You didn't know. And there are other local distilleries, and you know what? I saw them banding together and respecting each other and being kind, and we're all going to succeed. We'll all succeed more if we succeed together. And I feel like that just in everything, there was a woman that was, she wasn't she was not part of my polka dot group, but she had made another catty comment about somebody copying her, and she was so upset about it. And I'm like, first of all, that's like the biggest form of flattery.
Yep.
And she can't reproduce that. So like, take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what the thing is? She's probably copying you because she has no idea what she's doing, and she likes what you're doing. So I really honestly think that you need to like thank her and maybe be her friend. I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting because no one invented anything. We've never you got vodka, you got gin.
No,
people have been making that for days, right? And all you're doing is putting your name on it or putting a little bit different ingredient in it. And that's the same thing with that.
Yeah.
Whatever they did, they were copying you because they were trying to do something that you did because you had success, or they're trying to create a different success with the same thing. So
absolutely.
It's amazing.
We're all just big copiers.
Yep. Well, hey, it's been good having you on here. I really enjoy picking your brain about this, and it's been real interesting. It's been fun. Awesome to have the first in-studio guest. So, and we'll remember this one in a few years from now when we're even bigger.
I'll have to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Make it a thing.
Yep. And this is the last question. Okay. It's been great having you on here. And I ask this same question to every single person. Success is different to every single person. So the question is, this is the $1 million question that always stumps everyone. What is the shape of your success?
Ooh, I wasn't ready for that one. I've been asking myself this question a lot too. And I kind of found my answer. So I've always wanted the ability to give back. I have this like thing, like I want to, give back to my community that I really, truly love. I love living in Boise. And we actually, so I banded together with a whole bunch of my girlfriends and I was like, let's throw an event. And I wanted to find someone to give back to that was an actual person and wasn't like, a company or something that, however, I didn't know. I wasn't even really knowing what I was looking for. And I stumbled across Bustin' Out of Boise, which is a group that they help women who have breast or any type of cancers, whatever. I think they specialize in breast cancer though. But what they do is they fill the gap. So they're hashtag fill the gap on Instagram. And what they do is they take the money and instead of like, a lot of these places will give money for like your medical bills or like things like that. This is kind of filling the gap that doesn't get filled. So if you need to buy Christmas presents for your family, that's what we provide. That's what they can provide. They give you the money. You basically get the money, which I thought was like the most phenomenal thing. So I banded together with a whole bunch of girlfriends. We had a big event. We sold tickets. We created a basket and we ended up raising $4,000.
That's awesome.
To give to this woman who was 38 and had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I will tell you what, that was one of the best days I've probably ever had in my entire life to see people showing up and just giving so much. It was crazy to see what people were giving and then to be able to give it to that woman and know that I did that. And Old Boise has given me the ability to do that. And it's just, I want to do it more and it's going to happen more. And I'm excited to be able to give back, I guess. And, success, obviously, I want to double my business. Like I want within the next 2 years for my business to double. So that really comes down to numbers, but that's also something that I just feel like I have to do.
Yeah.
I found a lot of success in the hair world. And it's funny because I left a world of comfort where I was like, I am the master. And then it was very humbling to go to a business that I knew nothing about. And I'm still learning every single day, but that's part of the joys of it. Right.
Right.
But I want to double my business. So
that's awesome. That's doubling your business and giving back is always a great thing to do.
it is.
And, company's Old Boise Spirits.
Yeah.
They team with Koenig. They make everything, but they are a team together.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
So we are in all liquor stores. Be sure to ask for us if we're there. We actually have quite a few more products. We have the barrel whiskey, which is great. 117 proof. It's pretty awesome. It was just released last month. The honey whiskey, and then our rye, which all of our whiskeys are so good. They actually have won a lot of awards. So check them out. We have our 2 flavored vodkas, our peach and our huckleberry. And then we have the Old Boise gin and the Old Boise vodka. A lot of the liquor stores will have displays, but we're also we should be on every shelf. And so if we're not there, let them know we're not there. And then be sure to ask for us in your local restaurants. A lot of Koenig products are carried there. Old Boise soon to be coming, but it's all about brand recognition. I'm going up against some heavy hitters.
Well, and there's a lot of, they have brandy as well too. Like he has like lots of flavored brandies as well. So
pear, all kinds of awesome brandy. So if brandy is your thing, check it out. Yeah.
And then as far as like you personally, your social media is it at Old Boise Spirits?
Yes, Old Boise Spirits. You can follow Old Boise Spirits, and that's where you will see we actually host events at restaurants. We've had about 3 in the last month. But now that COVID is lifting, we'll be doing a lot more. And I bring all the swag, every loves bar swag, right? Oh, yeah. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts. And I let everybody taste all of the products that we have. And so you can follow Old Boise Spirits on Instagram for all of the events. And I also I do a little segment on there called Old Boise Kitchen Drinks, where I just make drinks that you can make in your kitchen. Because sometimes you look at ingredients and you're like, I don't have Chambord and creme of cacao, whatever. So I just kind of make things at my home, and that's kind of fun. Also, Koenig Distillery, you can follow them. They have lots of fun recipes on there too. So.
Yeah, and they don't post as much, but we know they're there.
They're there.
Well, hey, it's been great having you in here.
Yes,
it's awesome to get to interview you. I hope that you have lots of success with the business.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Hey, everyone, that's the end of the show. I wanted to say thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success. And I didn't look at the camera when I said that.
You were good.